Hello everyone, and welcome back to 4KB Shorts Let's Play of Kerbal Space Program with Kerbal Space Adventures. And I can hear the cheering from here in the past. At least I'm cheering in my head. Anyway, as you guys can see, we are starting brand new from scratch. And when I say from scratch, I mean from scratch. 0.23.5. I was going to wait until 0.23.4. 2.3. Yeah, let's go backwards, KB. I was originally going to wait for 0.24, which will add the contract system if you guys are keeping up with what KSP is all about. But recent developments have stated that Squad has stated that it's going to push back the release of 0.24, and I figured you guys didn't want to wait any longer. I know you guys are chomping at the bit. I can see it in my view count. My view count has tanked, and because I know that Kerbal Space Adventures is my best show, and that is because it is where I put forth my best effort, and I know that you guys love it. And so because of that, I am bringing you Kerbal Space Adventures from 0.23.5, and then when 0.24 comes out, we will figure out what to do with that when it happens. Now, what that means is we have to start all over again from scratch. Again, we are modded up, and then when I say modded up, I mean we have Remote Tech, we have Interstellar, we have Kerbal Engineer, we have what's the other one? MechJeb. we still have Quantum Struts. Quantum Struts still working. Don't know how, but we still have all these things and all this great stuff. And before Kerbal Space Adventure, now just so you guys can keep up, Kerbal Space Adventure started when I went to visit one of the anomalies out by Jewel, and that started the whole adventure thing where I said we're going to go to every major anomaly. Now we didn't go to every major anomaly because some were lost. Season 1, Duna sandstorms had covered up the face of Duna and all those anomalies, so we missed out on that. Recent changes to some of the planets, some of the moons around Jewel have covered up some of those anomalies, including one that can only be seen from orbit, things like that. So we didn't get to see all the anomalies, but we saw most of them, like 90% of them, before they all vanished into the ether, because there are some even on Kerbin that have been lost, unfortunately. So, but we did take a look at all of them, all the major ones, all the ones we could think of, and I got stuck. I got stuck, straight up stuck. Boom. Didn't know what to do next with Kerbal Space Adventure. Was totally lost. And one of those reasons was because I was streaming KSP Live every Saturday on KSP TV, which was the official channel for Squad. And I don't know how many you guys, viewers here on YouTube, knew about that, but it was something that I did every week. And I told myself that I was going to stop doing that if it ever interfered with Kerbal Space Adventures, because you guys came first. And it did. Because I was doing Kerbal Space KSP on live stream and doing all the adventure stuff there, and career mode stuff there, once I ran out of places to go in sandbox mode to explore and things like that, I got stuck. And so Kerbal Space Adventure started to slow down, and then eventually it kind of died, and I was like, no, that can't happen. So I've finished KSP TV streaming. I'm no longer live streaming KSP. It's all right here, right on YouTube, right for you, right here on 4/7 Gaming. Totally awesome. So I wanted to get that out of the way. So as you can see again, Mark 1 command pod, that's all we got. We are in career mode. We are, we do have to deal with the science and everything else. Now we do have some parts and pieces, some mods that will change the way science works. It'll make it better. Might make it harder. It really won't make it harder. It still hasn't been balanced perfectly, but it will make it better, and it'll give us goals, micro goals to get to. And we'll build space stations, because the Interstellar mod allows you to generate science from space stations. We will go to other planets and do all sorts of fun stuff. We'll try to keep this, we'll try to do this as fun as possible. And of course, just so you guys know, let's go ahead and check it out. Bam, look at that. Dookie Holiday, Bryce, Nicholas Bell, Andres Klang, Aqua Blue, everybody, Colby, all you guys are still here. All you guys are still here. And we've added one special mod, which you guys will see, which will help me identify who's done what, so I don't keep using the same guys or not using more people. And again, the roster remains open. Anybody who wants to be part of the KSP crew here, the Kerbal Space Adventures flight crew, can absolutely post in the comments. Tell me you want to fly, and I will jam your names in there. I know I've said that before, and I've missed a couple people. I know I've missed a couple people. If I can't really scroll down through the whole list, but if you don't kind of see your name in here, give me a heads up if you've already asked and I never replied or never seemed to do it, and I will get that fixed as soon as possible. So to start in career mode, we need to fly. We need to fly. That's all you need to do. There's nothing really spectacular that you need to do initially in career mode. All you have to do is get up into the sky, and you're good to go. And let me go ahead and turn down my volume a little bit, because I feel like I'm shouting at you guys, and I hate that. Now that I've gone through my huge speech where I'm shouting at everybody, yeah, let me go ahead and change it now. We have a lot of new mods, a lot of fun mods. We have TAC Life support as usual for you guys because that makes the game a lot harder. I'll go into more detail with that later. We have Kerbal Engineer, which isn't attached right now. We have the VAB Thermal Helper, that is for the interstellar thermal dynamics. It tells you whether or not your ship is going to overheat and explode. Megajoule Power Module Manager, that's for nuclear reactors, things like that. And then we have the Final Frontier. This mod, you guys will love this mod. This is the mod, I believe I mentioned it before. This is the mod that tracks what you guys have done. It gives you mission badges. Mission badges for all the things you do. You fly up into space, you do whatever. Every single one of you will have a mission list. I will see how many missions you have gone on. I will see what you have done. It will keep me from using you too many times or from neglecting people. It is in beta. It is in beta, but it should help me at least tell me how many missions you've been on, even if like the badges and stuff don't work. But it's got badges for like first Kerbal in orbit, first Kerbal in space, first Kerbal on the moon, so on and so forth. It's got all those things, so it's really interesting. I really liked it. I was really super excited about it when I found it, but it suggested to use it on a new save, not an old save, and so I'm starting it on a new save to make absolutely sure nothing explodes. Doesn't mean it won't, but we're making sure. Alright, so here's our first ship. There's really nothing spectacular we have to do here. I could fiddle with it a little bit, change it up a little bit, add some stuff to it. I guess we could add Kerbal. I need to delete these. I always forget to delete those when I install that mod. The latest version of Kerbal Engineer, everybody. As you can see, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Let's go ahead and compact that. Wow, 2,522 with a thrust to rate ratio of 5.16 with a max of 15.06. That's insanity. Let's go ahead and limit our thrust a little bit. We're going to limit our thrust down to about, say, 2, and that'll keep us from flipping out. So we're going to use the new tweakables. We're going to limit our thrust, and that'll just allow us to coast nice and gently to wherever we want to go. We have a Kerbal Lab, which is part of the KSO, the Kerbal Shuttle Orbiter. That's the mini shuttle by Helldiver. They've added space station parts, which we will be using. We also have a Communitron 16. It's not really helpful right now because we can't regenerate power, nor can we get power from the docking clamps on the launch pad because we don't have any. So let's go ahead and just name this guy. I'm not really sure what to name it because I've built these little guys so many times before. Well, we'll just call this guy the Moho 1, and the reason why we'll do that is because it'll be kind of like the Mercury rockets, but not really. The names will change. You guys know how my naming conventions go. They're just totally random, but we're just going to go ahead with the KSA Moho 1, so it's like the Mercury 1 or the Mercury 7. And I think that's about it. So let's go ahead and just launch this little... Wait. Let's check our crew. Who's our crew? Now, normally we just go with Jeb, right? But we removed Jeb, I forget. So let's eeny, meeny, miny, mo this little guy. Someone random. You. Ah, Lothfar. Wow. Now that's weird. Okay. Apparently Lothfar is going to be our first pilot. Now, just so you guys know, you guys have to remember, TAC Life support is permadeath. If you guys die, that's the end of it. So far, we've gotten lucky. So far, I've kept you guys alive. Odd as that may seem, I have kept you guys alive. But now that we're in career mode, and things may go south, there's a chance that you may die. Now, normally I'd cut. You guys know that I'd cut. But I'm not going to this time because I want you guys to see this up close and personal. And I also want to see if it loads. It may crash. I don't know. Plus, I forgot. I was in the middle of a sentence when I hit launch. I should have thought about it, and I didn't. So I'm going to go ahead and talk to you guys through this whole black screen here. Okay, warp one time. Now, I am using a lot of new visual mods, okay? So there is a chance bad things could happen. I don't know. If they do, we will fix them accordingly. Lothfar, you live, my good friend. Alright, so as you can see, we have clouds there, volumetric clouds, and they move across the sky. See that? They're moving across the sky. Very pretty stuff. I don't know how it's going to affect my frame rate. May bork it up really bad, but as time goes on, we will see more and more and more of the pretty that is KSP, or, well, Kerbal Space Enhanced, I guess. But before we do that, we have to see what's nearby. Now, I know a lot of you guys will tell me, KB, you can sample the runway, you can sample EVA near the ground, so on and so forth. Yes, I know you can do all that stuff. I do not do that stuff, and you guys should know why. I don't do that stuff because I feel it's cheaty. I want to go ahead and lay out the ground rules a little bit for career mode, since you guys may not know. The way it works is if a flight has not taken off, if the rocket has not been ignited, then it is not considered a flight, and I do not allow my Kerbal to just wander around and pick up, you know, science from around the launch pad. If we launch a ship, it fails to get into orbit, or it somehow blows up, or rapid unplanned disassembly, right? And the Kerbal's able to make it to the ground safely, I will have him get out and sample the ground and do all that stuff, because then it will be considered, even though a failed flight, it will still be considered a flight. So because of that, I want you guys to know that that is one of the major rules. So, permadeath, no reloads, so on and so forth. And we have ourselves a little Kerbal guy here who will not be getting out and doing science near the launch pad. All right. So we don't need to do anything with our throttle, because we're just using a booster, because boosters are easy. We have our I just have to make sure everything's in the right place. Okay, so we have our booster set first, and then we have our parachute, and I think we're going to aim. I like to aim inland. I don't know why I like to aim inland, but I do. Aiming for the ocean seems pointless to me, so we're going to aim inland. Oh, that's the end of the runway. I'm looking down there, and I'm seeing those dots. I'm like, what are those? Are those like new monoliths? But they're not. It's the end of the runway. I'm creeping out. Anyway, so I do like to aim inland first. I kind of like to try to go towards the mountains, because you get KSC, grasslands, highlands, and mountains. So there's a lot of biomes between where we're sitting and where we can land, and it gives a good little challenge. So let's go ahead and throttle up and just go. So now the rocket has been turned down. The rocket volume has been turned down. If it's too low, I will fix it. But as you can see, yet another visual mod. We have the Hot Rockets Thrust Pack, or whatever. I don't know what it's called precisely, but basically it's the Hot Rockets Pack. And as you can see, much better rocket trails. Again, don't know how that's going to affect the recording in the long run. We're going to have to see if it becomes an issue. If it does become an issue, I will have to correct it. If it doesn't become an issue, we should be fine. I installed, in case you guys are wondering, I know a lot of people are going to ask, and I have to update the mod list and things like that, but what a lot of people are going to ask is what mods I'm using. I am using the, I don't even remember the names. I just installed them like, 10 minutes before I started the video. So, but what it is it enhances everything about Kerbin, but I installed the default textures. I installed the basic default textures, which are the same size, I assume, as those textures that were produced by Squad. And so that way I don't get too big of a performance hit, is what I was kind of going for. Alright. So we're going to go a little bit more horizontal than vertical now, because we're actually getting pretty high. I do like that smoke trail. It's pretty interesting. As you can see, we are within the volumetric clouds. There's the moon out there. It has actual shadows now. Instead of just being bright, it has shadows around half the moon. Much more visually enhanced, since the sun, I believe, does start. Yes, the sun does start directly above you, so now you have clouds going up. There are clouds, of course, that are like thick black clouds, like storm clouds. As far as I'm aware, there are no real storms, but they do have thick black storm clouds. Also, I need to remind myself to disable. Let's go ahead and pop our chute. I have to remind myself to disable the city lights. Now, I know a lot of people use the city lights mod when they're using modifications like this. I am not a personal fan of city lights, only because when you come back down on top of Kerbin, there's no real cities there. So it kind of kills the nuance and the visual enhancement. You're like, oh, there's a city down there, and you come down and it's just grassland. And it's like, you could say they're underground cities hidden under the grass, but not a big fan of that idea. So I don't really like the city lights. So I will have to remember to remove that. And here we go, coming down, nice and gentle. Boom, and there it is. Now, I know that Lothfar can EVA at this point, but again, this is permadeath, and I don't want you guys to die, and I know that from time to time, when you attempt to EVA, we will do a crew report, though, so let's go ahead and hit up a crew report. Hey, I can see my house from here, I think, and that's 3.5 science and 3.5 science, and that is flying over Kerbin's grasslands, and I will be reading these to you guys, because I love reading these. They're cute. Even though I've read them 1,000 times, they're still cute, so we're going to keep that. But as I was saying, even though you can EVA and grab hold of the ladder, from time to time Kerbals forget the whole grab hold of the ladder part and tend to fall to their doom. So in order to avoid death as much as possible, I'm going to kind of do a NASA thing here and not take any unnecessary risks, because we're not racing the Russians into space. So we're going to be a little bit safer than normal. We're going to let Lothfar come right to the ground, nice and gentle. Now he should hit hard enough to break that off. Yeah, and then boom, hits the ground. Perfect. And we'll go ahead, now that we've done a actual flight, we landed somewhere, we're going to have Lothfar EVA, and we can do an EVA report from here. Now this might be considered a little cheaty, but there's only two ways to do this, and that's either on the ground, hanging over the ground, or hanging off the side of an airplane. And we're not going to do that. So we're going to do an EVA report while flying over Kerbin's grasslands. A little cheaty, I know, but it's really not that big a science boost, and it counts to me. So this is the most precarious situation, which may be true considering what he's wearing. So let's go ahead now. What we're going to do is we're going to take all data out, and then we're going to store all data. And there's a reason for that, and that has something to do with crew reports, and I'll explain what those are once we get back inside the pod. So let's go ahead and do an EVA report. I don't think a spacesuit was entirely necessary to get here, was it? Probably not, but it's always good to be safe. And we will take a surface sample, and this is just mostly for training, right? Yep, looks like dirt. And we got 9 science out of that. Now I'm going to explain science a little bit. As I've learned more since my Let's Learn video. If you see this line right here, this little green line here, this tells you how much science you're getting. This other green line, the dark green line, tells you how much science is possible. So science and potential science. Potential science comes from coming back out here and doing this again. That's what that's for. You get this science now, you get this science if you happen to be passing through and grab more dirt. It's a very interesting system. It was kind of hard to figure that out initially. This is not science that you get if you use a science lab. People always forget that. They're like, well, you get that science if you use a science lab. No, you get additional transmission science if you use a science lab. You have to come through and do this again if you're going to do this. So I just want to go ahead and kind of explain that. Now, we could do a flag every single time we fly out somewhere, but we're not going to. I'm not going to I am not going to bother doing a flag every single time we land somewhere, because we will have basically a line of flags leading from the launch pad to the mountains to wherever. It'll look terrible. We're going to put flags where flags are needed and where flags are important. That's on other planets, on specific ridges. It's very good to mark zones on the moon by planting flags and things like that, and that'll be more fun. Planting flags out here is basically pointless. So let's go ahead and now you remember we did take all the science out, right? We'll go ahead and store all the science. Now we did take all the science out and put it back in, and the reason why is because if we board, now you're only supposed to be able to do 1 crew report per biome per capsule. But the way the system works is if you try to do a crew report while you have a crew report, it will erase the old crew report. By taking 1 crew report out and then putting it back into the capsule, we can now generate a new crew report as well as keep the old one. Might can be considered cheaty, but since you can get 1 report per biome for every type of science, this seems more like a bug to me than a feature. So we're going to go ahead and record the crew's assessment of the situation. That's 1.5 science. We will keep that data. And as far as I'm aware, that is all the science we need to do here. And that was our first flight. First successful flight with a lot of our ladies and gentlemen. Big round of applause. Yay! All right. So from here, we're going to head back inside. And since it's going to take a few screen switches, we are going to be... I will show you guys how we're going to generate, or how we're going to progress in the science tree rather than just, or the tech tree, excuse me, with science. Instead of just going back to the VAB and being, okay, here's what we've unlocked, I'll actually show you as we progress so you guys can see what we're unlocking. We are using the interstellar tech tree, which I will explain more once we get in there. I think that would probably be the better thing. So I will see you guys in the science lab. Yay! So I'll see you guys there. And I lied! You guys should have expected it. I completely forgot about this whole screen. This is the aftermarket screen, or the after flight screen, which tells you how much science you got. Now, right now we can read off all the science we got because there's only like 6. We only got like 6 pieces of science. But if we do a long mission or a heavy mission or a hard mission, we will get tons of science, like lists of science, and reading them all off is basically pointless. All you really need to know is how much science was gathered, what its multiplication is. Basically, this is 5 times 0.3. That's how that works. Data value is 0.3, data value 0.7, so on and so forth. This data value remains constant. This number will change. So this data value is worth 5, but a crew report from, say, Minmus or Duna will be worth like 20, 30, so on. But it will always be multiplied by 0.3, 0.7, 0.7, 0.3, so on and so forth. So as you can see, a recovery of a vessel that survived a flight, 1 data gathered, but it's worth 5, so its multiplier is times 5, and you get 5 science, as you can see. So these numbers will remain the same, these numbers will change, and these numbers will change, and then of course where we get them will change. And we'll not really worry about this too much. I'll probably show it off if we recover a vessel after we skip the loading screen, depending if we get a lot of science. I just wanted to show this off right here. So we earned 27 science from that, and then we'll head inside the research facility, which of course is not that big of a loading screen, so I guess I should have should have just done it the way I did it, and there it is. So here we have there's some stuff not unlocked here. What? Oh, okay. So we have the Kerbal engineer system. Now, I'm going to delete these, so I'm not going to bother unlocking them. These two chips do exactly the same stuff as the Kerbal Engineer, as the ER7500 flight computer, except they do them separately. I don't know why they're included, except that people may want one or the other. I don't even care. I just put the ER7500 on there. All right, so right now there's only one place we can go. That's basic rocketry. I need to go to basic English. Can't even say that right. And how hard can rocket science be anyway? Probably very hard, actually. So let's go ahead and research that, which will get us a stack decoupler. Now the TPL-090 contact avoider is a landing gear. It is a modded part. You will see modded parts included in this. Same thing here with the UP13 and UP20 decoupler. Those are for heat shields. They decouple from heat shields. You will see modded parts in here because we are using, as I was stated, the interstellar tech tree. This will not be a stock tech tree. It kind of is. It follows the stock line down to about, say, tier 7 or 8. Or 6 or 7, somewhere around in there, and then it goes off wildly into the interstellar mod tech tree area, which is like future technology, warp drives and antimatter collectors and things like that. Stuff I've never really gotten into, but it costs a lot, like 2,000 to 5,000 science per node. It's insanely expensive. I think one even costs like 10,000 for a node. I think for warp drives maybe it's like insanely expensive, and it gives you a reason to go out and get all the tidbits of science you can all around. And Interstellar also provides ways for you to get science by just generating science, which we will discover as we go on. But for now, we'll go ahead and just unlock what we can, which gives us a couple extra fuel tanks. Mystery Goo container unit, which is for science, excellent, and then of course a stack decoupler. So we'll do that, and then we have 22 science, which will get us a few more things. Now we have some TAC life support objects right here, so if we ever want to go on a very long flight, we have TAC life support, and then our stock parts, of course, are our radial mount parachutes, some landing gear, and a jet engine, a rocket engine. We have a nose cone, we have winglet, and we have a radial decoupler, which will be helpful. I'm not using FAR. A lot of people are like, well, why don't you use FAR, KB? Well, to use FAR, you have to use procedural fairings. And procedural fairing rockets, though awesome when they open, are ugly when they're flying. They're terrible when they're flying. So I would just rather not use FAR, and they can still fail. And so FAR rockets are dangerous. They're dangerous. It's awesome. It's awesome, but they're dangerous. And so it kind of wigs me out. I don't really want to put you guys in that kind of danger. Okay, so what do we have here? We have a Sepatron, a Rocco Max fuel booster, and a LV-T45 liquid engine, which will give us thrust vectoring if we want it. What I think we're going to do, though, is we are going to go with a radial decoupler, as well as our stack decoupler, and that'll give us a little bit of ability to do some fun stuff, some really fun, super fun stuff. Some fun, crazy stuff if we felt like it. But unfortunately, since we didn't go with our dear friend since we didn't go with our TAC life support, we still only have about 1 day's worth of food in our capsule, and that's it. We don't have anything else. And we are now officially out of science. So we have some Kerbal Engineer here. We have our first part of the first part of our remote tech, and I will explain remote tech when I need to. Right now, remote tech is turned on, but I have altered it to work better for my means, and I will explain to you guys how that is done, how I've done that as we progress. But just note that even if we are to unlock the Stay Putnik or any of the modules that we can use, like any of the computer brains, we can't fly them without a satellite system. So we will go onto that as well. So it looks like we're going to need some more science, at least 15 science, and that way we can get ourselves some life support modules, and we will do that. So let's go ahead and head out, and well, yeah, let's go ahead and head out, and then I will see you guys in the VAB, because I'm going to try to avoid loading screens. I know that I tried in Season 7 to cut out a lot of the junk, or what I thought was junk, and it turned out I cut out so much that basically flights became kind of dull, and episodes were, like, entire flights were being completed in one episode. I mean, building the rocket, getting it into orbit, getting it to where it was going, getting the Kerbal on the planet, off the planet, and back home was taking place in one episode, and it's like, wow, I cut out way too much. So, as you can see, I'm being a little bit meatier now for you guys, because I know you love the meat. But because I don't know how long I don't know how long this is taking, in all honesty, and I don't know how the cuts are going to work. I'm little out of practice, what with my cutting too much kind of thing. What we're going to do is we're going to build our next rocket. We're going to fly that rocket, get as much science as we can, and then I think I may have to check how long the video's been and then decide from there where we're going to go. So I will see you guys inside the VAB where we're going to build our next rocket, and then from that we will do our next flight, and I'll pick somebody from there. So I will, well, okay, looks like we have 1, 2 up here, 3, 4. What is this happening? Is it? I think it's refreshing. Speaking of which, before we go inside the VAB, let me see if this is keeping. Aha! Lothfar flied 1 mission. He had a 0.00 day mission time. He has flown 1 mission. He is currently on a mission, apparently. I'm not sure if that's right or not since we recovered his vessel. 30% solid fuel booster ribbon awarded for launching with solid fuel boosters at 30% of ship mass. Nice. G-Force 6 ribbon awarded for withstanding an acceleration of at least 6 Gs. And first Kerbal surface EVA ribbon awarded for being the first Kerbal taking footsteps on Kerbal. Look at that, Lothfar wins that. So we will be periodically going over this as time goes on, because I don't even know what these ribbons are going to be. So you guys are going to get all sorts of medals and ribbons and stuff, and you guys are going to feel so awesome. So again, now that I'm done fiddling with buttons and things, we're going to head back inside the VAB and get our next ship rolling. So I'll see you guys in there. Alright, back in the VAB, we have our command pod Mark 1. Most important thing, I need to check the configuration file to find out if there's a way to remove the default on for these. Not that I mind so much, except that I designed the flag to be visible on a flagpole, not really to be visible on the pod. So although they added a see-through kind of alpha channel, basically is what they added, it allows you to see through certain colors, like white. Basically it'll let you see through white. If I were to paint this flag white, like where the dark blue is, it would look really pretty. It would actually look really awesome on the side of the ship, but right now it stands out too much. I'm not a real big fan of that, so I like to toggle it off. That's my personal choice. Of course, you guys can choose whatever you want. Now, of course, we've got our contact avoiders, which is just for, well, exactly what they say they are, they're contact avoiders. But before we do anything else, we do need our parachute. Awesome, awesome. So that's going to be our main pod. Now, what's really great about this is we can decouple. Yay, we found a decoupler. So we do have deadly reentry installed. I know you guys are loving it, finding new and interesting ways to kill my pilots. I know, right? Super duper awesome. All right. So let's see, we can build this in very different ways. Now, I'm going to kind of go with a tried and true method here. We don't have any space tape. We don't have any space tape. Okay, so I can't do this as big and as bad as I was hoping initially, because we are still missing a few of those wonderful, wonderful parts that we need for flying, of course. And because of that, I guess I'll have to do this a little bit differently. So what we're going to do is we are going to grab a couple of these. Now this will get us into high orbit, I think. I think we'll do a suborbital flight, and the reason why we're going to do a suborbital flight is because a full orbital flight right now is still dangerous. It is mostly dangerous because we don't have any way to generate power except for our engines. That's the only way we can generate power. We don't have any batteries, we don't have any power generation units or anything like that. At one point I had created a, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, fiddlesticks, what is that word? I know, I have it, it's in my head, it's a word. I created a fuel cell, and for those of you who don't know what a fuel cell is basically well, it's a cell, it's a battery, but it uses oxygen and electrolysis. Don't quote me on that. I read the wiki article once and I forgot what it is, but basically it creates electricity, water, and oxygen all at the same time, and it's what Apollo used, and it's what happened on Apollo 13 when Apollo 13, their oxygen tanks blew up. That's basically what happened, is their fuel cells went bad. And I built one that used monopropellant and I think oxidizers, some weird combo like that, and it worked really well to bypass the early stages of when you wouldn't have power generation, while at the same time making sure that you had something like some kind of use, like a limited amount of power, and it worked really well. It was just really heavy. It was huge. It used like a monopropellant tank and a fuel tank and a bunch of I think I used a modified SAS unit, so yeah, stuff like that. So because of that, I don't have it anymore, unfortunately. So we don't have a lot of ways to generate power, but this will get us a little bit higher into orbit, maybe a little bit farther than we were before. Maybe we'll get us to the shore, to the ocean, or maybe even to the mountains. It really depends. I guess we could put Kerbal Engineer on there really quick, and And that will tell us exactly where it'll get us. Yeah, it'll give us the magic number that we need. Let's see, we have... Oh wow, okay. It can indeed get us into orbit. That's, that's unexpected. Still don't think we should do it though, because we'd only have the one command pod. Now I know that people say, well, you can put extra command pods on there for extra I don't like doing that. I don't like doing that. See, again, it feels cheaty when you do that to me. You know, it feels like you're somehow just breaking the rules, or it's a single player game, play it how you want, I know, but to me it feels cheaty, and I'm not a big fan. So I think what we'll do is we'll take a couple of our goo canisters here, because we are going to need those. We'll take our action groups, and since we don't have any solar panels, we will stick our action groups on 5, so that will be observe mystery goo, and then 6 will, 5 will be, okay, so yeah, observe mystery goo, and we'll leave that and we'll do the rest later, because I only like to put them on their own individual ones. So if we had like sensor scanner, crew report, we could do a crew report I suppose from here, so we'll go ahead and do that. So we say crew report from there, that kind of thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's how I do my science. I don't like to do it from, I don't just like to hit one button and then skim through like some people do. Of course, personal choice. Alright, so for our name, well, I guess we'll just call this the Moho 2, because it is an upgraded version of the Moho 1, isn't it? The only thing I'm concerned with is, I think we should do that. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take these off, we're going to take this off, and I like to do this just to keep it clean. But we're going to drop this down to about, oh, no, we want 4. Down to about here, and we're going to put this just like that. And that way we're sitting on 4 engines rather than 1 engine. It's less likely to break. It will make me feel better. We'll take all 4 of these, drop them there, that goes there. That goes there, that goes there. Okay, so we have 5,422 Delta V. That will be perfect for a suborbital flight. I think we'll aim for the desert. I like the idea of aiming for the desert. So we'll go ahead and save. Oh, wait. Gotta check our crew. Gotta choose our crew. Now we have Dookie Holiday. I know Dookie's on top, and Dookie's like, well, why don't you choose me? Because I'm on top, isn't it? It's like, you have Jebediah syndrome, Dookie. I'm sorry, you're the guy on top. Nobody wants to be your friend. But we will choose you one day. And again, we're just gonna do some randoms. Well, okay, we're gonna redo that one because, well, see, now I'm confused between Jay Blackwell and Eric. I guess we'll ippy dippy it. So ippy dippy, my spaceship be on a course so true, past Neptune and Pluto's moon. The one I choose is you. So it's gonna be Eric. Sorry, Jay, we'll get you next time. So Eric, our courageous and rather stupid gentleman, is going to come with us up into space. No offense, Eric, if you're watching, but it says you're courageous and stupid. Isn't that the way it works? Is that a hero will run towards gunfire? Ooh, we might have a bug here. Sometimes when the music plays like that, it causes a massive bug. I don't know. We'll have to find out. Nope, looks like it worked. Looks like everything works. It's just the music's still playing a little bit. Making me nervous. I gotta get out of the... I have to get out of being live. I'm used to being live. You know, like I said, I was doing KSP TV and I was live, so switching from VAV to everything I couldn't cut. And so I'm used to being live and just yammering and talking repeatedly while doing my stuff, so I have to get used to that cutting again. Only on non-important things like loading screens. Non-important things like loading screens. Alright, so now we need fuel. We need real fuel. So let's go ahead and throttle up. We'll say about, ooh, I don't know, about there. Maybe a little further, and we will launch. Maybe a little bit higher. And away we go. Oh, a little bit higher than that then. So we're going up. Now we will try for a full suborbital flight, which means we are going up to 9,000 meters, so 9 kilometers, and then we will tilt. Now we're not going to tilt east, we're going to tilt west, and the reason why is because, again, I want to head for the desert, and we're not trying to get into orbit, so I'm not trying to get into we're just doing a suborbital jaunt, really, is all we're doing. And that way we can do whatever we need to do. Maybe an EVA report and high altitude, maybe a couple other things, but that's all we need. And as you can see from the rocket engines, of course I did mention this before, the rocket engines are the new Hot Rockets pack. So far they're very pretty, and again, it hasn't, well, we're about 26 frames when I look down. Yeah, but that might be a combination of the dust and volumetric clouds. Again, we're just going to have to see, you know, if we get the bigger rockets, there may be a chance that we could have some issues. Let's go ahead and do a crew report. We are flying over Kerbal shores. The shores look inviting, and you watch the waves roll into the coast. Awesome, so we will keep that data. And we are now crossing over the cloud band, so there's our first cloud band there. We have reached 10,000, which means we should start tilting over, because I missed it. There's our next cloud band. That's very pretty, very awesome. I am liking that, so we're going to tilt over. Be as gentle as possible. Again, we are working with deadly reentry, so we have to be super duper cautious about burning up. Wow, so pretty. Alright, so let's get up into the sky. So yeah, volumetric clouds allows for multiple clouds. You don't have to worry about just one cloud band. You now have more than one cloud band. There goes our rockets. Very odd design. And there's the moon again. Very pretty moon. The only thing I don't like about the moon texture is it feels flat. It feels a little flat to me. If only because it's like they took away the hard black edges, and so it looks more like our moon, like Luna, not our moon, rather than like a Kerbalized moon, which kind of it's not upsetting, but it kind of feels like we're missing out on that Kerbalization there, where it's much darker. Alright, so we're moseying. We're doing pretty good. Looks like Eric's going to be our first suborbital Kerbal here, which is really interesting. Our apoapsis height is 70,000. Look at that. Suborbital flight, 70 kilometers, doing fine. Could probably get him into orbit, but we do have to keep an eye out on our power because we are using TAC life support, which does take power. Now, I kind of want to EVA Eric, but I'm worried about the air, so let's go ahead and open our mystery goo canister. Okay, so we have a goo observation from Kerbin's upper atmosphere. The goo seems to be getting very cold now. Awesome, so we will keep that data. I think Eric should be fine, so if we EVA him, now I'm not going to have him let go. He's going to hold on, but he's going to do an EVA report while out here. You're starting to feel like you should really get back into your ship, and that's from the upper atmosphere. Awesome. So what we're going to do now is we're also going to take all the data. We're going to store all the data. Can we grab this from here? We cannot. Well, we have an apoapsis of 70,000. We are at 65, so it looks like Eric's going to take a little bit of a chance because we can't take these goo canisters back with us. So he's going to take a little bit of a chance, and he's going to collect the data from here. And yes, the removing the data will cause it to no longer function, we know. But what we want to do is we want to go ahead and grab. There you go, little buddy. Get back inside. Now once we hit whoa, what's happening here? The SAS unit just kicked back in. Okay, once we hit 70, I think we can do one from space. There it is. We are now officially in space. Let's observe our goo. And while in space near Kerbin, the goo seems to have clumped into a sphere. It also appears to become brittle. Awesome. Now we've just reached our apoapsis, so we're going to do this quick. We want a crew report. It seems we are very much in space right now. This guy seems to be mostly below us. We'll keep that data. And we're going to have him EVA. Oops, looks like we missed our EVA. Did we miss our EVA? Oh, from space above Kerbin's grasslands. Awesome. You will record your observations about the situation. We'll keep that. We are in a little bit of a hurry, so I'm kind of speed reading a little bit because we have to get this little guy. So let's collect our data. Yes, I know. We'll remove it. There we go. And we will go ahead and get back in the pod. So grab the pod. Whoop. Eric, upside down. All right, awesome. So we're back inside. I don't know why the SAS unit's doing that, but it is. It looks like we may or may not hit. Let's go ahead and turn our ship around. That's going to be important. No matter what we do, we have to turn our ship around. So again, we're just doing a suborbital flight. Nothing too spectacular. Grabbing a little bit of science with Eric. Got to be cautious with you guys. Don't want you dead too soon. Of course, that doesn't mean Eric will survive re-entry. It just means I'd rather him not die. I know that we could probably get into orbit. You know what? Honestly, we could have. I missed the opportunity now, but we could have honestly gotten into orbit. Probably kept our power up using little bursts from our secondary engine, this little guy right here, and then brought the whole thing back down once we were done. But again, I want batteries first. Once we get our hands on some batteries, I'll be more likely to do that because we could have like 250 units of power rather than just 50 units of power that's constantly draining from TAC life support. So we're going to have Eric come back down as gently as possible. And we're gaining a little speed, but luckily for us, we can do some fun stuff like slow ourselves down to the point where maybe we won't even get deadly re-entry because we have all this fuel. Might as well save it. Looks like we didn't quite make it to the desert though. We were a little bit short, so that was my fault. That's okay. It leaves more science for next time, right, Eric? Eric says yeah. He's very stoic. Eric is a very stoic pilot, it seems. Alright, coming down. Almost straight down, honestly. Now we do have to be careful with heat and everything no matter what. Even if we are going rather slow, we can, well, at 19 kilometers. You know what, honestly, I think we honestly missed the mark with that one. So let's go ahead and kill that and do that and just burn up this a little bit. There you go. It's not super important, but it's fun to, if we brought the fuel, might as well use the fuel. And it also gives us kind of an idea of how the ship will function if we decide to take it back up to a full orbital flight. It doesn't look like it needs much in the way of modifications. Okay, so we're almost coming straight down at this point. Very nicely done, Eric. Oh, he seems very upset. He seems less than happy about the current situation. It's okay, buddy. We are going to use a parachute. I promise. Wouldn't lie to you or nothing. And we're coming on down. And we'll go ahead and cut our engines because there's no reason not to. And I suppose, since we have all the science and we're only 4,000 meters from the surface, we can indeed ditch that. So goodbye. What I would guess we would refer to as the engine module, possibly science module, and then we will open our parachute just so we have it open and Eric can survive. Now, while we're on the way down, I want to show you guys something on the inside of the cockpit. If you take a look around, we have the raster prop. That's R-A-S-T-E-R or O-R. I think it's T-E-R, raster prop monitor or raster prop mod. It modifies the cockpit, so you have all sorts of fun stuff. You have your action groups there. Parachute just opened, which is great. You have your action groups there. You have some screens here. The screens can have nav balls, flight information, all sorts of fun stuff. I did install this for my personal use as well as for the use of some streaming from time to do like first-person streams, things like that. I don't think we'll be using it here in Kerbal Space Adventures, if only because flying from inside the cockpit, as awesome as it is personally, can get kind of boring. So because of that, we will not be doing that, because as you can see, just sitting in the cockpit waiting for things to happen is rather dull. But I wanted to show it to you guys as we are waiting for Eric to hit the water, and we can see our altitude there is 200 meters. Now there are external cams which you can then pipe into here using the external cameras. You can use external cameras on the ship. You can pipe in visual images from like the parachute, from engine clusters, anywhere you want, as long as they're connected to the ship. And once you've done that, you can pipe them in on the screens, but it's not as exciting as watching the ship actually fly through space. So because of that, I will probably not be using raster prop unless it's requested. You guys can request it, of course. You can say, hey, we want to see you fly using raster prop, but I honestly will tell you it's not that exciting. I've actually been told during streams that it's extremely boring, and people would rather I not did it again after I did it like twice. So up to you guys. Now we are using our SAS, which is draining our power, but we need to so that Eric can EVA. Okay, so Eric's gonna let go. That's not good. Well, it's okay. So let's go ahead and EVA report. I don't think a spacesuit was entirely necessary to get here, was it? And that's in Kerbin's waters. Okay, we'll keep that. We'll take a surface sample. And a surface sample from Kerbin's waters. You've taken a sample of the water. It appears to dramatically increase the surface humidity of anything it touches. Yeah, okay. I don't think we're going to be able to get back in, though. Our pods can kind of... Yeah, I think our pod has given up the ghost. But if we're lucky, we can do something fun here with our pod. There is a, well, I'll call it a feature, but you could call it a glitch. And what it... Oh, no, don't sink. Okay, I better stop messing with that before something bad happens and he sinks. Which can happen. It's happened in the past. Kerbals have sunk, pods have sunk, all sorts of stuff. So apparently we may have to recover these guys separately. If we do an EVA report, yeah, okay. So yeah, we were going to have to collect these guys separate. Oh no, here we go. We can store the experiments in the pod. Done. And then, okay, so we restored the experiments. So we're going to recover. We're going to recover Eric first for safety purposes, and then we'll recover the pod for science purposes. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we will go back into the science bay really quick and check how much science we got based off of this vessel. So let me go ahead and do that really quick, and then I'll see you guys inside the science lab where we can determine what's next on our list. Let's go ahead and do that. Alright everybody, I was able to recover the vessel from the map screen where it showed me how much we got. We got 62.3 science out of it, which is awesome. And it did consider it a suborbital flight, which is also awesome, which means if we open our final frontier panel, apparently we can't open it in here, well that's kind of an annoying thing. Here we go, if we open our final frontier panel and we scroll down, we will see that, wow, look at Eric, man, one mission flown, look at this. First Kerbal in space ribbon, yay, Eric's our first Kerbal in space. Dangerous EVA ribbon, awarded for executing EVA while not in a stable orbit. Nicely done. G-Force 6 ribbon, awarded for withstanding an acceleration of at least 6 Gs. Splashdown ribbon, awarded for a splashdown of a vessel in water. Kerbal surface EVA ribbon, so of course you took footsteps on Kerbal, not the first footsteps, but you took footsteps anyway. And first Kerbal EVA ribbon awarded for being first Kerbal on EVA in 0 atmosphere around Kerbal. So look at that, Eric completely outclassed Lothfar in one mission. Awesome. Of course, I'm sure Lothfar will come up and fix that in the end. So let's go ahead and check our science. We had 66 science. Now, because I was mentioning batteries and the like, and because we do want to do longer, farther missions, we're going to need, absolutely need, TAC life support containers. So we're going to use our TAC life support containers. We're going to grab those. That's going to take us down here. Now down here we have all sorts of fun stuff, including a hard drive, which I'm going to have to edit. They don't carry enough MITs for the hard drives to be useful for anything. They can barely carry like one seismic anomaly, anything. So I may have to edit these, because currently it's 20 MITs for the small hard drive and 80 for the large, and some of the smallest science takes like 60, and that's, the small hard drive is basically useless at that point. So we have ourselves a new antenna. We have a Science Junior, which is great. Battery's awesome. That means we can get into at least a short orbital flight. Small crew camera. Now these are the external cameras, or are they? Okay, this one's a bug. I edited a camera and I should have deleted it. I hadn't. Ignored this little guy. This is a Scoop-O-Matic soil sampler, which is great. An external radio mounted camera, vertical, okay, and a CAP 101 capacitor. That I will explain if we ever decide to use one. It's basically a battery that doesn't drain charge. It's very interesting. Think of it as an emergency battery, if nothing else. It's really intense, but that's what we're going to go with. So we're going to do that for 45 science, and that's going to be basically all of our science. We're back down to 6, but that's a lot of science. Now, because we have done 2 flights, and because I checked our video from earlier, and I know for a fact that we're probably almost to the hour mark now, which is great for a season premiere, I suppose, we're going to go ahead and pause here. And then we will be back, of course, next time, getting more science, doing more stuff, capturing asteroids, collecting dirt samples from the moon, flying all over the Kerbal system, checking out how beautiful things are, and that's not really a small thing. If you guys saw the volumetric clouds here on Kerbal, we have another reason to go back to Duna. I'm not going to spoil it. That's going to be one of our goals. We're going to go all over we're just going to science the crud out of the Kerbal system, I hope. And so, of course, we're going to do that. We're going to have some fun. Hopefully you guys are going to survive. You guys are going to get mission ribbons. I'm going to know who I used and who I haven't, so I'm not neglecting you guys anymore. Super awesome fun stuff's going to be occurring. I love it. I'm really super stoked about what's coming up. And as time goes on, and as new versions of KSP comes out with some of the stuff they're planning, I'm hoping that we can just keep going and going and going without having to worry about anomalies and things like that, without getting jammed up again. I'm really super stoked. And I hope you guys are too. So, once again, I would like to thank you all very much for joining me for Kilobyte Short on this Let's Play of Kerbal Space Program, Kerbal Space Adventures, and I will see you guys next video.